Thanksgiving on a gorgeous day in Anaheim, California. We welcome you inside the Anaheim Convention Center. And it is semifinal game number 1 as Southern Illinois tries to earn a spot in the first ever championship game of the Anaheim Classic. They take on Mississippi State, part of Feast Week, presented by Lowe's. Southern Illinois got here with an impressive defensive effort yesterday. They just completely shut down Chattanooga. Mississippi State, likewise, a big effort over Cal Irvine. The winner of this one takes on the winner of USC and Miami later on tonight. Well, you take a look at this ball game, and we're talking about a team defensively right now that is capable of changing an entire game. I think that's right, isn't it, Steve?
Yeah, we're looking at SIU. They're known for their defense, but Mississippi State is also very good on that end of the floor. A very good preview of possibly the best from the SEC and the best from the Valley today.
Take a look at the Star Watch and the players that we are going to be focusing on here in this one. Jamaal Gordon is a guy who can light it up from the outside. Big guy on the inside, and the other side is Falker.
Jamaal Gordon is a triple-double waiting to happen. Just add the rock. And Randall Falker, a big physical presence inside. He leads this SIU attack, especially on the offensive end.
Now the starting lineups. Gordon is joined by Charles Rhodes. Going to have to be a big factor in the middle today. They call themselves bread and butter. Barry Stewart, who had an early season shooting slump and have found the range here yesterday in that victory for Mississippi State over Cal Irvine. On the other side, Falker is the guy who makes it go. Shaw can hit from the outside. And Bryan Mullins, offensive and defensive force at the front for Southern Illinois.
Bryan Mullins, very underrated point guard.
Rick Stansbury realizes that he's got himself quite a matchup here today for the early part of the season as his team still tries to find itself, identify itself in the early part of the year. On the other side, for Southern Illinois, now the number 18 team in the country, they realize a lot of big games like this one awaiting them all year long. They're ready to take that next step. They are wearing the home white. It's the designated team here on the neutral court. And Shaw. Pretty good standstill jump shooter, but missing there. And Gordon the rebound.
Well, it was a little unusual for SIU. They typically don't take the shots that quick in the shot clock. Look for Randall Falker to get them established in the paint, and then they try to work themselves out.
Touch pass, and Gordon finding his way along the baseline.
Jamaal Gordon is such an underrated talent. Young man can do it all on the basketball floor. And the funny thing is, lefty. And so most of the players that are guarding him don't quite anticipate him going left, but he can go equally as strong both ways.
Told you about Rick Stansbury. His counterpart is Chris Lowry, 4th season. Look at those numbers. Almost 76% of his games won. And he says they got to contain Gordon, shorten the game, keep Mullins out on the floor.
We saw yesterday Bryan Mullins got into some early foul trouble against Tennessee Chattanooga. But the team was able to get done what they needed to despite that early foul trouble.
He fought his way inside and a held ball off the rebound. An alternate possession going back the other way for Mississippi State. The keys to the game, and we were talking with Rick Stansbury before the game about this. You got to use your size to get inside.
Yeah, they have the height advantage definitely with Rhodes and Bernardo, and they really need to take advantage, get the ball inside, because they've got some guys on the perimeter that can really get it done.
Limiting the turnovers. Stewart a big game in anticipation. Now here's Rhodes. Stepping in. Not sure he wanted to go that high off the glass, but it counts.
And he'll tell you that's what he meant to do.
Of course.
But Rhodes is an active guy who likes to get the ball on the perimeter and try to take big men off the bounce.
Boyle turning it around. He had good position inside on Rhodes.
That's a great sign for SIU. Tony Boyle not looked upon to score much. More of a role player, defensive guy, banger inside, but those are bonus points for the Salukis.
Shaw forcing Hansbrough to his left hand. That turned out to be a good thought. The entire SIU crowd here yesterday, every single time Chattanooga was touching the ball, they were chanting, "Turn it over, turn it over." Well, they did.
Yes, the Salukis are kind of like snake venom. Once they get in your bloodstream, the muscles tighten up, your breathing shortens, they just cut your lights out.
However, Bernardo coming over with one big giant step and erasing the shot. Now Gordon, NBA three-point range. All that work he did in the gym over the summer and improving his shot apparently worked.
Went back home to Nashville and got the permission of Belmont University to use their facilities. Went in and worked on his J all summer long.
400 shots a day, and it's paying off right now. And last touched SIU. It'll stay Mississippi State's way.
Look here, this is what great shot blockers can do. We missed that one there with Tony Boyle going in, and then Jamaal Gordon going to the other end. But we saw an earlier block, Bernardo, and you mentioned it yesterday, Scott. Great shot blockers never leave their feet too early.
Well, he is a tremendous shot blocker. Showed it last year, and early signs again this year. Boyle got Rhodes in the air, but they say no shot. The foul call is going to be on the floor. And it will be on Charles Rhodes, his first.
An unlikely offensive source is Tony Boyle early for the Salukis. Really trying to get into the big men of Mississippi State and get them in foul trouble.
That's the one guy right there that really can get you going from the outside if he's hot. And Matt Shaw draining the jumper to get the Salukis back within 3. Whistle away from the ball. You got a blocking foul coming. And Mullins, who we mentioned, had some early foul trouble yesterday. Had to sit early in the second half. Picks up his first here inside the first 3.5 minutes.
Well, Jamaal Gordon at 230 pounds is such a load to try to stop.
This is a tremendous matchup to watch. You got a very physical, big team going up against a team that, as you said, kind of squeezes the life out of you. Irresistible force and a movable object. We'll see. 5-point Mississippi State lead here early.
Mississippi State definitely has the flow of the game to their liking. Not a slow down, grind it out type of affair.
Barry Stewart knocking that one away. 13 left on the shot clock now for the Salukis.
Take a look here. Good hands by Stewart. Shaw definitely had the advantage on him in the post area at 6'7", but Stewart not giving up.
Trying to flip it inside. Now Mississippi State can run, and Hansbrough for 3. A little bit too strong. Back the other way. Here comes the running game. They got a hand at Shaw's face, so Boyle from 18, and he got it. You say you're not thinking about him as an offensive weapon. Well, he is right now.
Well, he's out here today. He's going to keep the big men of Mississippi State honest, making Charles Rhodes have to guard him.
That's going to be a push-off foul on Rhodes, and that turns out to be big here in the early going as Rhodes just picked up his second, just over 4 minutes in. Back and forth, a lot of physical play, a lot of defense, and a 4-point lead. Take that 3 for Mississippi State. This telecast is being brought to you in stunning high definition on ESPN2 HD, presented by Olivia. Well, maybe a little bit faster paced than you may have expected here in the opening minutes of the game. And a 9-6 lead for Mississippi State. One thing to keep an eye on, though, is a big part of what they do. Charles Rhodes picking up 2 very quick fouls here in the first half.
Tony Boyle gets a lot of credit for that. Coming out very aggressive offensively, making Rhodes have to defend on that end of the floor.
They swarm around Falker and take the basketball away. Second turnover for the Salukis.
Mississippi State is so athletic across the board, led by Jamaal Gordon in the backcourt, and of course Bernardo and Rhodes up front. So SEC level athletes.
Oh my. Great timing of the block shot for Randall Falker at the top of his jump. Turning away Stewart, now the other way.
Boy, Stewart looked like he had it scot-free along the baseline, and Falker came out of nowhere. Great timing on the block. Last year's Defensive Player of the Year in the Missouri Valley Conference.
The Came close to being the player of the year. Just right there, stopped, but did not win that award. Nearly a shot clock violation, didn't matter as the shot missed, and it was saved in by Bernardo. Mississippi State really controlling this ball game right now, the first 5.5 minutes.
Doing an excellent job on the defensive end of the floor and getting pretty much whatever they want here on the offensive end. Salukis haven't been able to force many turnovers.
Yesterday they forced 26 of them, and now you got a blocking foul. Not wanting to give up that bit of sideline. The foul call's coming on Tony Boyle. His first, team second.
And Jamaal Gordon, you're not going to double team him and keep him and bump him off of his balance. He's just too strong.
Take a look at the top defenses in terms of points allowed last year, and Southern Illinois right there. Saw Princeton and Air Force. But they challenge every possession. Oftentimes they're challenging every pass. Long range, no good for Hansbrough. And that attempted save, but Ryan Johnson couldn't keep it alive.
Well, and you were talking about those three teams right there defensively. Southern doesn't really play keep away. They really try to go at you, whereas Princeton and Air Force don't necessarily play keep away, but they really try to loosen up the defense by use of the shot clock.
That's going to be a foul call on Falker from the far side of the lane, trying to create some space for the little jump hook shot. And Chris Lowry agrees.
Oh, there's no question about it. Watch the left elbow right there. Little gut punch with the elbow by Randall Falker.
It's one of the ways that a guy at 6'7", 235 is capable of dominating as a big man the way he does.
Yeah, no doubt. And, you know, he's got to create that space inside.
And there's a return to the favor. Contact and a foul call on the charge.
Player control foul on 44.
Now watch Falker set up. Excellent footwork there defensively, but he took a chance there, Scott, because if he gets a block call, that's his second foul, and he has to go to the bench. So Southern very fortunate in that decision by Falker there to take the charge.
Once again, this senior's got a lot of defensive savvy the way he approaches the game, but that's one of those things that you look at and you say, how does a guy 6'7" dominate as a big man? But he does, especially inside his conference.
You know, as you mentioned before, the use of his lower body, the savvy in the paint, the space, and going right through shot blockers. He does that very well.
Couple of changes for both sides. There's Green penetrating and kicking back outside. Shaw open for three. That Shaw's got a pretty stroke, and he's got 5 here in the early going.
Watch Tyrone Green set this play up. Mississippi State is going to allow him to shoot the outside jumper. He's not comfortable doing it, so he penetrates to the basket, sucks the defense in, and gives Matt Shaw an open look on the wing. Excellent playmaking by Tyrone Green.
That's Gordon set up. He had a good look. He was right on line, but a little too strong with it. Southern Illinois got in a little bit of an early hole, comes down with a chance to take the lead.
See the freshman Carlton Fay with the basketball. They have high hopes for this young man. SIU likes to redshirt a lot of their freshmen that come in, but Carlton Fay so talented in preseason conditioning and practices that the coaches felt they needed him right away.
And there he is going after the loose ball. How about that? He came out of the pack with it. And it doesn't turn into a hoop. Good position on the inside for Bernardo. His first 2. And the lead back again for the Bulldogs.
Boy, Chris Lowry not happy with Randall Falker that time. But I think as the game goes along, you're better off allowing that dunk than picking up the second foul.
Ball knocked over the sideline. And the ball going back over the Salukis when we come back. Physical play on the inside, as we expected to see. And right now, Mississippi State has the better of the Salukis. Welcome back to semifinal action of the 2007 Anaheim Classic, all part of Feast Week, presented by Lowe's. College basketball continues on ESPN and ESPN2. 2 games of the Dick's Sporting Goods NIT season tip-off at 4:30 Eastern. Washington taking on number 21 Syracuse in the consolation game on ESPN. Then at 7 Eastern on ESPN2. Number 15 Texas A&M facing Ohio State in the championship. Sporting Goods NIT season tip-off, part of Feast Week, presented by Lowe's. And there you see it. The matchup at 7 o'clock tonight for the championship with number 15 Texas A&M. And you can imagine a stiff test in Ohio State.
I tell you what, a terrific matchup of premier freshman big men in the country. Texas A&M with DeAndre Jordan and Ohio State with Costa Koufos. Rhymes with doofus, but he doesn't play like one.
I think it would be long for Ohio State to get back to that level, did you? Despite the fact you can't get a bigger grouping of losses in terms of what they have lost with their production this year, and you know they're going to be right back.
Well, Thad Matta does such a great job recruiting players into the system, and he's building that mystique at Ohio State now that players around the country are starting to really tune into. Boy, SIU caught a break there. Shot clock winding down. And they get a foul there as Josh Bones trying to go to the basket. So they get a fresh shot clock and try to grind up the Bulldogs once again in the half court.
And contact. And he's going to mean free throws for Bryan Mullins.
Mississippi State foul is on 45.
Elgin Bailey, the freshman, doesn't get a lot of tick. Played 4 minutes against UC Irvine, and he's anxious to make things happen. Younger guys, Scott, as you well know, try to come in the game and impress so they can get more playing time. But Mullins coming to the basket. Bailey can stand straight up and force him to make a tough play. Instead, gets off his feet and his eagerness to make something happen.
You know, Mullins has an ability to exploit that. Just a really smart basketball player.
And his dad, Mike Mullins, runs one of the best AAU programs in the state of Illinois. Tremendous players throughout the years.
Fake look-away pass, and Stewart created a lane for himself.
Stewart's got a little magician in him there. Now you see me, now you don't. Going to the bucket. Known more for his three-point prowess, but getting to the hole there.
That's going to come wide open for Wood, a little bit short. That tip rebound. Going to go out of bounds off the hand of Stewart. We were talking about dads who help their young sons along. How about that dad right there?
Yeah. Dad chilling out. Thank goodness he doesn't have his finger in his nose or something like that.
And why do you got to do that to dad?
Hey, that's family tradition right there. Dad's faculty rep for the NCAA for SIU, been a part of the program for years and played for the Salukis back in the late 50s, early 60s, and has been around the program ever since. So he's having fun out here this weekend.
Shot clock winding down. Inside 5. Mullins off balance. Got it. Pretty touch on the fadeaway.
Well, you called it earlier, Scott. Mullins has the ability to score in bunches. Very crafty with the basketball. Took his time and got to a sweet spot.
Hansbrough hasn't found the range as yet. Long rebound. And Brandon Wood bringing it across.
And you look at Hansbrough. That name may sound familiar. Brother of Tyler Hansbrough at North Carolina. Ben Hansbrough actually took a visit to SIU. Thought about joining Salukis, but chose SEC country instead.
Pretty crossover move, and he brings the defense with him. That sets up Boyle. Last touch in the hand of Southern Illinois, so the Bulldogs get it back again. Mr. Lowry, as we said, has basically known nothing but success as a coach and a player in his time at SIU.
Well, his philosophy allows his teams to be in games. When you hang your hat on the defensive end, there's going to be nights where you don't shoot the ball well, but you can always play hard defense. And he's gotten his players to buy into that over the years.
We were talking about that yesterday. That changes the game as it's going on, but also as the game continues into the second half. Look on the inside and an easy two for Johnson, but they wear you down to the point where when the Salukis bring the ball up offensively, they may get some easier looks on the offensive side because of how their defense plays.
Great point, Scott. And I talked about it earlier. They're like snake venom. They just wear on you. They get inside your shirts. They get it. They grab you. They pull you. They hit you. And it's just constant pressure on both ends of the floor. Their half-court offense is a series of sets as the shot clock's running down.
That's an errant pass as Mullins was cutting toward the baseline, and the fourth turnover for the Salukis now. With all that we've said about this team, it's number 18 in the country right now. They've got their hands full here in the first half. 6 straight in NCAA tournaments for Southern Illinois. Only one of 12 teams in the country that's done that.
And believe me, Coach Lowry and his staff knew what they had on their hands in these Bulldogs. Jamaal Gordon, one of the better point guards in the nation. Rhodes, all SEC. Ben Hansborough was a starter last year. Very veteran ball club here, at least in the starting five.
Gordon saved the possession by taking the timeout, so the ball goes back to Mississippi State. When we come back, lead it by 2. With 8:11 to go here in the first half, the number 18 team in the country down by 2. And Southern Illinois, led by Chris Lowry, is in the middle of a tremendous run of NCAA tournament appearances and success. Bruce Weber starting it as a torch pass from one to a next to a next.
Yeah, and Bruce Weber really instituted the style of play here. And you see Matt Painter wasn't there long and had a year internship under Gene Cady before coming coach at Purdue, and now you see Chris Lowry's numbers, and look at that right there.
How about the fact he's had 3 seasons under his belt, 2 of them he's been the conference coach of the year.
This outstanding success, and really a tribute to the faculty and administration at SIU, recognizing that this style of play at this level at the Missouri Valley Conference would really be successful for years to come.
Bernardo inside, and he traveled. So another timeout on the floor, and the turnover for Mississippi State will give it back to Southern Illinois. Hand-to-hand combat here in Anaheim. Got a Super Bowl game coming up on the football side of things. Welcome back to semifinal action of the 2007 Anaheim Classic. It's part of Feast Week presented by Lowe's. Mississippi State, a surprising 54% on the floor. It's a Southern Illinois team that been giving up about 30, make that 24% shooting for its opponents on the year. So Mississippi State is getting it inside. That's why they got themselves a 2-point lead.
And they've got some playmakers in Jamaal Gordon, as we see right there, that can go get it off the bounce. He can post up, he can shoot it from the 3, can put it on the deck. Very difficult to defend.
This is without Rhodes, one of their best, who's sitting on the bench right now with 2 fouls. 7 out of 13 on the floor for the Bulldogs. Despite 6 turnovers, they've got themselves a 2-point edge.
Mississippi State has done an outstanding job defending Randall Falker inside. He's had few open looks.
There's Shaw. That one's open, a little bit short. And the weak side rebound for Bernardo. There's Gordon.
But Jamaal Gordon looks like a big running back coming through the paint, getting ahead of steam, and you can be as tough as you want, but you see 230 coming at you full speed, you might have second thoughts about getting in front of that truck.
On the spin, Johnson, a little bit short with it. Johnson, a guy that Mississippi State has high hopes for. Attended Louisville for a couple of years, and he has a chance to be a real help in the middle in terms of size and interior presence for this Bulldog team. That's a good feed, and Falker finally sealed his man. They got an easy 2.
Well, Ryan Johnson will add a lot of depth on the front line. He knows how to play. He's been in some big-time situations. Trying to overcome some early knee injuries that he's had in his career.
Bernardo, good leaping ability. But he had his pocket picked. And the Salukis will take it back with a chance to retake the lead. Falker finding his way inside, and now the hot hand for the big man. Back-to-back baskets.
Well, Scott, you talked about Randall and his ability to score at 6'7". We just saw a great example of why he is so effective. He uses the rim as an extra defender against his defender, goes under the other side, and avoids the block.
Well, that's going to go back the other way.
Look at the position right there in the paint. If he gets the ball there, you will not stop Randall Falker. Now watch, he goes to the other side of the rim, avoids the shot block of Bernardo. Great job of using the basket.
Just savvy that comes from having played that position for a while and understanding who your opponent is. Southern Illinois, despite not dictating the pace the way they'd like, does have the lead and the basketball.
Falker was trying to go for 3 in a row, but Gordon sitting in his lap, nowhere to go offensively.
Brought the bigger body and Bailey to put on him on the inside there, banging away in there.
Watch Shaw on the curl.
Found his spot, and he got fouled as he has scissor kicked into the air into a shot. He's going to go to the free throw line.
Matt Shaw's an interesting player this year. His previous 3 seasons, he was a power forward, played the 4 position. Now they slid him out to the small forward position. He's always been able to shoot the ball, and really utilizing him with the loss of Tony Young and Jamaal Tatum. They need him to pick up the scoring output from the wing position.
He's been vocal about calling for the ball in certain spots, putting himself in shooting positions. And rattling that one in to extend the lead now to 4. He's got 7. And there's his quick hands and defense creating a turnover. You can feel the momentum starting to build now for the Salukis. We're talking about Kansas football. Well, Jayhawks have a basketball team, I hear, by Brandon Rush. Feast Week continuing on ESPN Sunday night. He'll take on Arizona. Big 12 Pac-10 Hardwood Series, part of Feast Week, presented by Lowe's.
Look at the athleticism of Jamaal Gordon. Comes back, makes a turnover, but stays with the play. Mullins looks like he has an open 3. Gordon closes at the last minute.
And it's going to be a blocking foul. Going to go on Tyrone Green. We've seen a tremendous number of fouls. Mississippi State is up over the limit. That's only the 4th team foul on the Salukis.
Cleanly played first half on both ends of the floor. Only major player on each side in any kind of foul trouble is Charles Rose.
Gordon. And thank you very much. The friendly rims here in Anaheim.
We have young people watching today's game. Jamaal Gordon is showing you what hard work will do. Dedicated himself in the offseason, as Scott mentioned earlier, 400 jumpers a day. Wasn't a bad shooter before, but now he's able to step out at three-point line and really make plays for this Mississippi State team.
Falker was trying to figure out his way to get some inside position and found his spot, got his clear, but they couldn't get the ball into him. And they held up a little bit in the battle with 6'8", 265-pound Elgin Bailey.
I really like what Rick Stansbury is doing with his interior defense, rotating the big guys.
I think Rick Stansbury really likes what that guy is doing. 10 points now here in the first half.
Got a chance to talk to Jamaal. He wanted us to say hello to his mother, Javonda Gordon, back at Nashville, putting on a show for his mother here in the first half.
That's a great look by a man on the inside, but Boyle too strong with the jumper.
And look at the discipline of Mississippi State. They know who's got the hot hand. They're trying to set it up for him, trying to free him with a pick and roll situation. Oh, nice pass.
And Stewart, draining it, bottom of the net for Barry Stewart. He had been 3 of 15 on 3-pointers coming into yesterday. He nailed 4 out of 7 here yesterday, and it looks like he's begun to find that range again. It's an 8-0 run now for Mississippi State. And contact on the inside is going to mean free throws when we come back. And a timeout on the floor now with 3:13 to go here in the first half. But it is Gordon starting to find the hot hand of Mississippi State, forging back into the lead as we take a timeout.
Dari Noka in studio. Coming up on the Dick's Sporting Goods halftime report. We'll get you all ready for a big one at Madison Square Garden. Ohio State, Texas A&M, a couple of fabulous freshmen to tell you about. If this is Bill Callahan's last game at Nebraska, it's not going so well. Highlights from Boulder. Also, LSU, Arkansas underway. Maybe a shakeup in the BCS standings. Doug Gottlieb, Tom Brennan, and myself at the halftime.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Finding out more at halftime. There's Jamaal Gordon. He is part of this Mississippi State run that is giving them the lead in this game as they continue to shoot the ball well. They continue to dominate the glass. They're doing it all without one of their best players who's sitting in foul trouble.
Showing you the depth of the ball club that the Bulldogs have and what the rest of the SEC has to look forward to this season, especially when they go through Starkville.
Falker's second try and hit on his free throw. But they are doing this without Charles Rhodes, who's only given him 4 minutes. 2 quick fouls in the first 4 minutes of the game, and he has been sitting ever since.
It's interesting when teams lose one of their leading scorers and they have to find a way, other ways. Other players step up. Maybe the ball moves a little bit more. Guys get touches. But Jamaal Gordon has put his team on his back thus far in the first half.
That's the second time he's painted himself into a corner and called a timeout to try to save a possession. So as Rhodes continues to watch, one side of bread and butter, the other side is taking care of things.
Well, this is early in the game, and look at him avoid a charge with the body control. Comes off the bounce from NBA 3. And then off the bounce with the college 3. Tremendous package of skills from Jamaal Gordon.
He's getting a lot of national attention, a Wooden Award candidate, Naismith Trophy candidate, Cousy Award candidate. He was talking to a lot of people about what it was that he was trying to do as a player, and he was thinking NBA. And one of the reasons that he decided to work on that shot this year was he realized that was probably the area of his game that needed the most work. He's thinking about playing at another level. And apparently it paid off.
And I think he heard you, Scott.
The shot looks awfully good right now, and it has throughout the first half. 5-point lead for the Bulldogs.
Well, SIU really focusing on trying to get the ball inside to Falker. Mississippi State doing an excellent job defensively.
Off the miss. And picking up the garbage is Tony Boyle on the weak side. Stewart. That's a tough angle. And a foul call on the rebound. They're going to call that on Shaw, and he can't believe that. He's called for pushing off to grab that rebound on the weak side.
Well, to give the referees the benefit of the doubt, it happened right in front of him along the baseline. And Bailey working hard, the freshman coming off the bench, giving Rick Stansbury some great minutes. Subbing for the foul-ridden Charles Rhodes.
The Salukis, who have only played 2 games so far this year. You wonder if some rust needs to be knocked off here. They certainly have themselves an opponent that is giving them all they can handle here in the first half.
Southern's missing a vital cog as well. Wesley Clemens, guard out of Indianapolis, has been injured in the last couple of days, and he hasn't suited up yet. Does a tremendous job defensively for the Dogs.
That's good position inside, but look at the long arm of the law inside. And Bone up on top. Says it's not 2, I'll take 3. And you're going to get a foul call on the inbound. It's going to be called on Green.
Well, those are momentum killers right there. There's a block by Shaw. Then they convert. Good job by Bernardo, once again, avoiding the contact but coming up with the block. Who said Southern Illinois is the only team out here that can defend?
Well, he had 67 blocks last year. New freshman record at Mississippi State. Stewart way downtown. And that one is going to be up over the back on the aforementioned Mr. Bernardo. He gets his second. Just 2 games so far, as we said, as he went over Northern Illinois, and then yesterday just picking apart Chattanooga. There's only a couple of free throws with single digits left on the clock that got Chattanooga over the 40-point mark for the game.
Yeah, they took a very good Chattanooga team. This is going to be a very good basketball team as the season goes on, and just really had them scratching their heads trying to figure out what they were doing, especially when they had the ball in the half-court set. Just couldn't get any offensive rhythm all afternoon.
So big for a big man like Falker to be able to hit his free throws. Clearly, I just did that to him. 11 out of 14 yesterday.
Tends to happen that way, doesn't it?
Almost every time. 1:15 to go till halftime.
Rick Stansbury has to be pleased with his team's effort thus far.
I would think thrilled might be the word, because you did so much of it without your big man, a senior leader. And you'll get him back as you start the second half.
Watch for the shot clock to run down, and maybe Shaw coming off of a down screen for an open jumper.
That's what they're going to try to do. There it is. You got it. It's the other side, though, and Bones draining a three.
Salukis love to do some crossing action along the baseline with the 2 perimeter players. Watch these guys cross. They come off the curl. They curl tight off the screen and try to get that quick jumper. Nice offensive execution as the shot clock winds down.
2 out of 2 from beyond the arc for Joshua Bone.
Good call. Very good call. Mullins got a little too aggressive with the hand check.
And that one, with 20.5 seconds left in the half, is going to put the Salukis up over the limit. As Mullins gets his second foul, that's going to mean a 1-and-1 coming now for Gordon.
I understand the mentality there of Bryan Mullins. You really want to try to pressure. You got some momentum. Your crowd's into it. But that's Jamaal Gordon. You're not going to get him off kilter. You're not going to make him flustered. And you're definitely not going to bang him. Too strong with the basketball.
Numbers for Gordon yesterday, 7 out of 12 from the floor. Good free throw shooter, and he has 15 of his team's 28 points here in the first half. Southern Illinois, though, with the 1-point lead now, and the basketball can hold for 1.
Watch again for a tight curl with either Shaw or a high screen and roll with Mullins getting to the basket.
Screen and roll was there, didn't look up. Bone's going to try from way downtown. Long-range jump shot, the third 3 of the first half for Joshua Bone. Guy who was a runner-up for Tennessee's Mr. Basketball back in high school, has a big ending to the first half here.
Shot clock running down. Mullins sucks the defense in just enough. Kicks out to the wing, and Bone making them pay. Watch the defense suck in again with the penetration. Hansbrough gets out a little too late, and that's long distance.
That is almost a 4-pointer right there. So 32-28. Now let's join Dari Noka, Tom Brennan, Doug Gottlieb in the studio for the Dick's Sporting Goods halftime report.
All right, welcome in Dick's Sporting Goods halftime report. Dari Noka, Tom Brennan, Doug Gottlieb. A 4-point Saluki lead over Mississippi State. Big 3 at the end of the half for a lot of reasons, but you go in and you're feeling good because you're up more than a score.
Absolutely, and I think the interesting thing about this game, to me, Dari, is the fact that it's where SIU wants it to be in terms of pace and defense, but yet Jamaal Gordon has 16 of the 28 MSU points, so that's really interesting.
Yeah, Rhodes foul trouble, obviously a big reason why SIU's been able to separate themselves. But how about Josh Bone? He's had these injuries, and SIU's one of these teams. You always think a copy of a copy of a copy never turns out quite right, but this team is a copy of a copy of a copy of the good SIU teams. The coach, Chris Lowry, is the third guy in the chain, and they still defend, they still move the ball, and the perpetual motion offense just makes you chase them all day. SIU looks really, really good at both ends of the floor.
And welcome back on a gorgeous day in Southern California. Semifinal action of the 2007 Anaheim Classic, all part of Feast Week presented by Lowe's. And number 18, Southern Illinois, the 4-point lead. Taking a look back at how they got there.
Tony Boyle really stepped up early, gave him an offensive boost, and then Matt Shaw finding the range, and then a lot of offensive patience to find Randall Falker the basketball towards the end of the first half. And then Superman for Mississippi State, Jamaal Gordon took over down the stretch in the first half and really kept his ball club in this game.
His jump shot was straight and true in that first half, and 48% shooting. We said that's about double of what Salukis had given up over the course of their first 2 games. Right now, the rebounding advantage also owned by Mississippi State, but the ball and the lead for the number 18 Salukis as we start the second half.
Oh, wow. What a screen by Matt Shaw on Jamaal Gordon.
And, oh, wow, how much room did Falker really need to operate down there? He pushed Bernardo back, really behind the backboard. There's a guy that Mississippi State would like to get involved. Rhodes, who had foul trouble in the first half, but a turnover. Quick hands by Hansbrough. Man, knocked over the end line. It'll belong to SIU.
Wow, they are letting them play to start the second half. Rhodes took a bump by Falker down there on the double team, and Hansbrough with the quick hands, keeping the layup away from Green.
See what the adjustments look like coming out of the locker room at halftime.
Let's see if they double team Falker. They were doing that early, but with Rose back in the game, they may be able to play behind him and try to go for the shot block.
How about a little up and under and a nice touch from Tony Boyle.
Tell you what, when you have that type of versatility, Scott, and you can take a defensive stopper and make him into an offensive threat against one of the better teams in the SEC, that's some good coaching, and that's good versatility for this 18th ranked ball club.
Boyle playing defense now at the other side, cutting off that baseline. Rhodes, well short enough so that he got an uncontested rebound. And look at the quick hands from Mullins, waiting for a trailer. That's a great defensive play by Stewart. End to end we go, and now you're gonna have a foul call.
Great action here. Look at the active hands by Bryan Mullins. Gives a wraparound dribble, but Stewart doesn't give up on the play. Comes back, active hands by he and Hansbrough the last couple times down, preventing layups.
Falker straight down the lane and using the left hand and his body to protect the basketball.
Well, we are seeing some great basketball and showcase here with the 2 dogs. Let's see what the big dogs can stay on the court or go running.
Well, right now, we're talking about a 10-point deficit for Mississippi State. You got to be careful.
Randall Falker's so strong that if he gets you on his opposite shoulder, he can go with each hand to the glass. Very difficult to stop that move.
This is a danger zone right now. You start getting down double digits to this team. They continue to put on the defensive pressure, and before you know it, you're lights out. Ball knocked over the sideline. 24 left on the timer. Leading scorers, Gordon leading the way, as we said, for Mississippi State with 15. Falker inside with 10, but good balanced scoring. 4 players with 7 points or more.
Everybody sharing the wealth right now in Mississippi State. You have Hansbrough that has the ability to score. Stewart can light it up from 3. Rhodes hasn't gotten on track yet.
That's going the other way. Mullins didn't get the steal, but he did create the turnover.
It's that defensive intensity you were talking about, Scott. It just keeps building. And then they come down here in the half-court set, take their time, grind you up with the picks. You just don't get a break when you play the Salukis.
You go back to the first half. This is right now a 17-2 run for Southern Illinois. And Mullins helping to bail out of a jam. That's going to be a traveling violation, though, on Shaw.
Yeah, Shaw, a little active, and he doesn't agree with the call, but again, the official was right on the spot.
We talked about it earlier. This is what Southern Illinois does. They create those turnovers. They put constant pressure on it, and it has a cumulative effect over the game. They just wear you down. Fight for the rebound. Good job by Rhodes on the weak side. All ball, say the officials, on the putback attempt.
Well, Rhodes is having a tough go of it. A lot of physicality displayed in the paint. It is not for the weak of heart in here in the paint this afternoon.
Back to Mullins. He'll reset him as the shot clock winds down toward 10.
Watch the tight curl for Shaw.
Winding down. And he got it on the rim just in time to beat the shot clock violation. Hansbrough turned right into the steal.
Wow. Mullins.
It was like Mullins knew where he was going.
Grand theft larceny underneath the basket.
That's what Mullins does. 6 in the conference in steals last year. And that ball just flat thrown away. Stewart making him pay at the other end for the turnover. That breaks the 17-2 run.
Look at the moxie of Mississippi State. They haven't got much to go right here in the second half, but they come through with a steal. They get an open layup, get their momentum back, and they're right back at it on this end.
Except Falker inside is just creating huge space for himself on the way to the basket.
And it looks like Charles Rhodes is a little gun shy from his foul trouble in the first half. Not as aggressive going after the basketball.
Hansbrough's wide open and buries a 3.
See, these 5 guys on the floor from Mississippi State, they've been in some wars in the SEC, and they're not going anywhere anytime soon. They have shot makers and playmakers, and even against one of the better defensive teams in the country, they can still get good looks.
The double. They had a good feed, but Boyle couldn't hit on the shot. Keeping it alive, and they'll keep the possession. Shaw, too strong with a 3. And a foul call on the rebound for going up over the back. But the inside game is beginning to work, and that man right there creating huge space for himself underneath. SIU is taking control of this ball game. Well, if you're a Salukis fan, you're pretty happy with what you're seeing right now. This week presented by Lowe's in semifinal action here in Anaheim. Southern Illinois is led by as many as 10. They're up now by 7 with 14:46 to go, and they have really established the inside here in the second half.
Yeah, Mississippi State did an outstanding job in the first half, limiting Randall Falker touches inside the paint area.
I said they had to contain Gordon, shorten the game, and keep Mullins on the floor. Gordon 15 points, but hasn't scored yet here in the second. Mullins played all but 2 minutes. He does have a couple of fouls, but it has not been a factor.
Well, you see here, nice adjustment, getting Gordon into the post. A little different look.
It worked.
Tell you, Rick Stansbury, I love him as a coach because when we got a chance to talk to him, Scott, he appears to be a coach's player. I mean, I'm sorry, player's coach, if I get that out right. Guys love to play for this coach here, and Rick will get his guys in position to be successful. That time, used an old school UCLA cut to get Gordon in the post, and he took advantage.
Gordon is strong enough at 6'4", 230 to be able to handle that with a smaller player on him. Ball caught on the baseline, or maybe not. Oh, my! Counted, and a chance at a three-point play.
How demoralizing is that? Play 34 seconds of tremendous defense, and at the last second, look at this wraparound pass by Josh Boone. Boone finds him at the last second. Just didn't stop moving, came to the ball like a receiver breaking his pattern. Falker recognized his teammate was in trouble. Great teamwork between those two.
Came along that baseline, and that's going to be Renardo's third personal foul. It is tough, as you said, when you play defense that hard for that long and give up a three-point play.
And you notice the proximity where SIU gets knee to kneecap when they play defense. The only guy they're not doing that with is Jamaal Gordon. They can not contain him if they pressure him too much.
They're coming out and just pushing him further and further from the basket, too, as they come out to meet them defensively. There's the double again. Sometimes you don't pass out of it, you dribble out of it. Shaw had a wide open look. Falker helping him out. He has taken over this game in the second half. He's now got 17.
Well, a very difficult thing to do is come out of a double team and find your man. What's happening, Mississippi State is slow to rotate. The ball is hot potato action from SIU, and on the offensive rebound attempt, Gordon cannot keep Falker off the offensive glass.
This is a huge part of this game right now for Mississippi State. The huge segment of the game, because you can feel SIU taking over.
Good call there.
Gonna be a reach in. It's on Falker.
Good call there. I'm impressed with Rhodes, though. He hasn't gotten out of his game yet. He's still being very patient. That time was trying to crab dribble into position to get his shot. These guys are showing a lot of poise. Talking about Mississippi State.
A team that goes up against some very tough competition, as you pointed out, in the SEC, so they're pretty well battle-tested. Hansbrough way too strong on that three. Strong enough so that it was an easy rebound and putback for Bernardo.
And you know Hansbrough would tell you that was a pass all day long.
Yeah, absolutely. You saw Falker go to the bench with his second foul and taking a break here right now. That could be a little bit of a window of opportunity for the Bulldogs, who are showing zone now.
You know, Josh Boone on the perimeter. Mississippi State is going to have to talk and know where he is at all times.
He had a couple of long threes late in the first half. Mullins, good look inside, but they couldn't pay it off. The wraparound shot for Tyrone Green.
Boy, Hansbrough goes hard to the hole.
Count it. And a three-point play opportunity now coming for Bernardo. He will go to the free throw line when we come back. So no sooner does Falker leave the game than the Bulldogs come roaring back and work on the inside. Back-to-back baskets for Jarvis Bernardo. Here in our Anaheim Classic semifinal, it seemed like all the momentum belonged to Southern Illinois. Mississippi State has been coming back now since Falker took a seat on the bench with a couple of fouls, a little time off, and take a look at the scoring comparison by half. It looked a lot different if you were just watching this game, because it seemed like the Salukis were dominating, but now Bernardo a chance to cap off a three-point play and get his team back to within 5 points.
Well, Mississippi State has done a good job of pushing the ball and not waiting in the half court. Hansbrough that time was forcing the issue. He drew a double team, allowing his teammate the open dunk.
A miss, but Gordon, good job fighting his way to the rebound. The rebounding advantage still belongs to the Bulldogs, although the gap is closed a little bit here in the second half.
Jamaal Gordon getting a little itchy to pull the trigger on a few jumpers here. Look for his shot on this possession.
Now toward the baseline, and you got contact and a foul call. No shot. Foul call comes on the floor. And it was on Joshua Bone. Falker coming back into the game. Big start to the second half.
Once again, using the basket to shield against the defenders. Scott, you called it. He gets inside that paint. With his frame, you're not going to move him out of position.
Rhodes, errant pass. He thought he saw the open man, but Salukis closed those passing lanes as quickly as anybody.
Well, now you see it, now you don't.
And Hansbrough is going to get called for the foul. Falker really heated up after halftime. 17 points on the game, 5 for 5 from the floor here in the second.
Well, you could tell Chris Lowry came out of the locker room determined to establish Falker early. Try to keep Charles Rhodes back on his heels, which has been the case. Rhodes only 4 points and hasn't been real active on the defensive end.
Going through the high post now. It's straight down the side of the lane. That's going to be a foul call, and it will be number 3 on Rhodes. He thought he had all ball, but it's going to be free throws coming.
Well, watch the replay here. That's okay until you come down with the arm. If he stays straight up and down, he doesn't get called for the foul. Right there, it's good. But when you swipe down like that, it forces the official to make a call.
At the free throw, 18 now for Randall Falker. A couple of years ago, kind of gave an idea of what was to come when he was the MVP of the Missouri Valley Conference Tournament. First team all-conference last year and the defensive player of the year, but it's his offense right now that's helping his team out to an 8-point lead.
Gordon is trying to make some plays, and it looks like Mississippi State is just trying to dribble, penetrate, and make something happen, but you've got to have ball movement against this SIU defense.
Saw that itchy trigger figure coming, partner, and it was right there. Gordon forced that shot. Along the inside, a foul call is going to go on Falker, so that is going to be his third as he tried to get position inside. College basketball continuing on ESPN and ESPN2. A couple of games of the Dick's Sporting Goods NIT season tip-off. 4:30 Eastern on ESPN. It's Washington at number 21 Syracuse, the consolation game. And at 7 Eastern on ESPN2. Ohio State at number 15 Texas A&M. Dick's Sporting Goods NIT season tip-off. Part of Feast Week presented by Lowe's.
Well, now SIU is going to have to find some other sources of offense with Falker going to the bench with 3. And don't be surprised to see Rick Stansberry take advantage of Rhodes and Bernardo inside now.
Carlton Fay, the freshman, stood in, held his ground, and took the charge. Well, the second foul called on Gordon.
Gordon continues to believe that he can put his head down on the bounce and get all the way to the basket. Again, you have to move the defense before you look to penetrate against the Salukis.
Boyle, good look to the corner. Found the open shooter, but well over the top of the rim was Joshua Bone with the 3. And the other way. That was money. Gordon in rhythm from the top.
I'm telling you, Jamaal Gordon has made himself into a deadly shooter. He's coming off the bounce, off the fast break, looking for 3-point opportunities. He already could get to the basket with the best of them. A triple-double waiting to happen. Really hasn't been on the glass and the assist totals as much today because he's had to pick up the load where Charles Rhodes has left off.
Off the made field goal, showing the zone, daring him to shoot. Bone says thank you very much. Fourth 3 of the game, he's got 12.
Bone shot that one from the Bay Area. That was a step or 2 beyond the NBA 3.
That's a career high 4 threes.
This is where Rhodes has to do work. Yeah, it's one of those days for the big fella.
Everything but the basket. That's a tremendous save, and All that work just to get it taken away from you by Mullins. Coming up on 8.5 left to go here in this one. And the lead is 8.
Well, they better be talking where that young man is.
I tell you what, that's going to get you out of the zone as quickly as possible. Timeout on the floor. The 2-3 zone apparently can be broken.
Well, you can only extend the zone so far. Look at that. A good foot behind the NBA 3. And then you think they knew what they were doing. They left them wide open on the same spot. And Bone makes them pay.
That's an intriguing matchup. Villanova and George Mason in the early season. This one has been too, and it's been kind of hand-to-hand combat as we've been talking about today. Southern Illinois is now giving Mississippi State all they can handle, breaking the zone, stepping out, nailing three-pointers from all over the floor. And Josh Bone has been the difference in this game. Career high 15 points, 5 out of 6 from three-point range. It seems like he's getting further and further behind the NBA line with each shot.
He really is, and that confidence is starting to elevate. Hit some big threes in yesterday's game against Chattanooga as well. And there was a question about the Salukis, how they were going to replace Jamaal, Tatum, and Tony Young. Well, I think we just saw one part of the equation.
It's going to be a hold down low on Carlton Fay. Trying to deny the entry pass. He's saying, who, me? They call him Big Country. Now, you'd think it's because he's 6'8", 230. But the nickname Big Country does not come from that. It comes because he's from a county in Illinois that doesn't have any fast food restaurants. I guess that's about as country as you can get these days in the United States.
Putnam County, smallest county in the state of Illinois. Some good people in that area, though, just north of Peoria.
And Big Country's fighting, and I believe is going to be a held ball. And possession arrow belongs to Mississippi State. Let's go back to how you break a zone from the exact same spot on the floor twice.
There's the first one, a foot away off the wing, and there's the second one. And no defensive pressure on either one. Got to close out on the shooter. They knew coming in the game, Bone is a three-point specialist.
He broke a bone in his foot before practice started last year. Never really got going. Missed a lot of time early, some time later in the year. And off the miss, the rebound ripped down by Boyle.
Boy, that's some good looks at the basket for Mississippi State. They just couldn't finish.
11-point lead, the ball, less than 8 minutes to go. That's why the Salukis team is so tough. Last year got to their highest ranking ever at the end of the year. As high as number 11. That's a great job of stepping across by Bernardo and blocking that shot. He's got great timing. Hansbrough really needed that three. Ball knocked out of bounds, and apparently it's going to stay the same way. Well, for Mississippi State, still an uphill climb. It's still time to do it with 7:27 left to go. Semi-final action. A spot in the finals on Sunday is up for grabs, and right now that team owns it with 7:27 to go. Southern Illinois with an 11-point lead. Josh Bone, I told you before, runner-up for Tennessee's Mr. Basketball in high school. He lost it out to his teammate, Brandon Wright, being recruited by North Carolina at the time. Can you imagine how good that team was?
Yeah, I can, because Brandon Wright ended up being a lottery pick in the NBA last year. And with Bone being able to shoot the way he does, inside-out tandem.
Hansbrough, they just collapsed around him.
Wow, they need some pads on that last play. That was football going in there.
Illinois now shooting Mississippi State. They out-toughed him on that play, too.
Watch for the crossing action. Bone in the game now. They may look to get him coming off the screen as opposed to Shaw.
Shot clock down to 1. There's going to be a violation anyway. Yep. Ball knocked free, but they said the possession never changed hands. Chris Lowry doesn't agree with that.
Look at the defense of Southern Illinois. Watch the dribble drive in the paint. Watch them collapse. 1, 2, 3 guys come to the basketball. Tony Boyle joins in on the the block party there. Just tough going from Mississippi State once they get in the paint.
Of course, getting to that paint's not the easiest thing in the world to do either. A lot of contact.
Uh-oh, it's getting a little chippy here. Charles Rhodes got away with the elbow in the mouth of Randall Falker. Take a look here. Watch these two gentlemen right here. Oh, man. See, if he's lucky the officials didn't see that, because he'd be kicked out of the game for that one. That's a flagrant elbow to the jaw of Randall Falker by Charles Rhodes.
And you could tell that part of that frustration probably coming from the fact that he just had enough of being shoved around in there. The way Falker is just kind of dominated in the paint.
Yeah, but you know, as an ex-player, there's an unwritten rule that if the officials can't protect you, you protect yourself. And don't be surprised to see retribution from Randall Falker coming on the other end.
He's talking to the officials right now, I would imagine, about that very thing.
But you can understand, as you mentioned, the frustration for Mississippi State. Has been a very physical ball game. That's what SIU does to you. They wear you down, they stay in you, they frustrate you, and you saw a little bit of it right there.
And they're not going to get out tough very often this year, Mississippi State.
No, they're not the high-flying, pretty team that you may think they are. They like to get down and dirty on the defensive end as well.
That shovel pass inside, stolen away, and with 6 minutes to go, doors still open. Bulldogs trying to find some consistent offensive trips down the floor. And spinning the wheels on the drive was Phil Turner.
Phil Turner, one of those freshmen that Rick Stansbury wants to get playing time. But he told us before, Scott, you can only leave them in so long. It may result in a loss. Their inexperience, and it showed right there.
When you play a tough schedule like this, it's true. Long range for Shaw. He has not had it today. And now here comes Gordon. Quiet the last couple of moments, and he just got his pocket picked. And that is going to be an intentional foul on Gordon.
Yeah. You understood what Gordon was trying to do. He wasn't trying to hurt Mullins. You see here, he loses the handle on the dribble. And watch the wrap-up. See, it's the nature of the wrap-up. If you just go for the ball first. See, he wasn't trying to hurt Mullins. Lost the handle there. But he's got to be a little bit more crafty with that foul, going after the basketball and tying him up.
Bryan Mullins at the free throw line.
2 trips down the floor for Mississippi State with a chance to cut into the lead a little bit further. And now these resulting free throws giving SIU an opportunity to extend the lead. And Mullins hitting on a pair. Yesterday, wearing a different colored jersey, still had the same look. He was all over the floor. 11 steals on the day for Southern Illinois. And he's stealing the ball again today.
Well, you notice everything in the commonality in all those shots were the active hands. Bryan Mullins got some of the best defensive hands that you're going to see in college basketball. He stays active. He doesn't relax. Always aware.
Now time going to be called by Chris Lowry. Got 5:16 to go. You've got an 11-point lead in the basketball. Trying to set yourself up for the end of this ball game. And Rick Stansbury, who knew he had a fight on his hands here today, tell him to hang with it. Feast Week continuing on ESPN. Sunday night Big 12 Pac-10 Hardwood Series. Arizona and Kansas. Part of Feast Week presented by Lowe's on ESPN. Sunday night, 8 Eastern. Good matchup right there.
Oh, terrific matchup. Kansas has been bitten by the injury bug early with Rush in the MCL. Sharon Collins has gone out with a broken foot, so they're having to overcome some injuries. But when they get healthy, Kansas would be one of the top 5 in the country, I believe.
I don't think a lot of people want to experience the Salukis pressure D now unless they happen to be Southern Illinois fans.
I tell you what, that's a pretty appropriate sign because it is an experience coming in here. You can't simulate the physicality of the Salukis and how tough they get up in you.
Assume they've called something out of the timeout. Down to 5 on the shot clock, and Falker got stripped, but it's going to be a foul call. It's going on Turner. And the shot clock was all the way down to 4, and the foul call will send Falker to the line.
And the coaching staff on the sideline. Look at the physical nature here. Look at the elbows coming up. Guys are just, it's a free-for-all out there.
That's 20 for Falker. I have a feeling that reach-in foul maybe was a little bit of an answer to the screen. It came just a couple of moments earlier. I think Phil Turner particularly liked the way he got hit.
Well, welcome to the NCAA, partner. Phil Turner. Coach Stansberry has high hopes for that young man right here with the rock.
Missing on it, though, the biggest lead of the game for Southern Illinois. A chance now to grow it. 4:40 left to go.
And they're going to take some time off the clock, run you through an assortment of picks and screens, swing the ball side to side, and look for the opening.
This is where it just wears you down. And Shaw got hit real hard on his way down the lane. He's going to go to the free throw line. I mean, you're already worn down at the other end of the floor from having to protect the basketball and having each one of your moves, passes, and everything else challenged. You come back down this way, and you get a big screen set on you. By the end of the day, you got to be throwing your hands up and saying, all right, uncle.
Yeah, it's a different style of play. And when you can get players as talented as Chris Lowry has to buy into that system, that shows why their program has been so successful the last 6 seasons. It all started with Bruce Weber.
Doesn't it also make it when you play this style that you can play literally with anybody?
Yes. Yes. When you hang your hat on the defensive end of the floor, and again, we said it, you're not always going to shoot the rock well, but you can always defend. And you saw a contested 25-footer from Jamaal Gordon, further testament to what this defense of SIU is doing to Mississippi State.
Gordon's got 20 in this game. It's the first time in 9 games dating back to last season that they've given up a 20-point scorer.
Well, I think that people at home can notice as the shot clock's running down, the Salukis know their way to the weight room as well.
It is true. Shaw a little off balance. And Bernardo with the rebound. Down 15 with 3.5 to go. It's looking an awful lot like Southern Illinois is going to fill out one side of the final bracket for the championship of this Anaheim Classic. And one more turnover and a little closer to sealing the deal. They forced 20 turnovers on the day, and they are in command of the center. George Mason, a team that got a reputation of being a giant killer on the way to the Final Four. This week presented by Lowe's, and for Mississippi State, it's been a struggle here today. Our Star Watch players, Gordon 20 points, but only 5 here in the second half. And Falker has taken this game over in the early part of the second half.
Yeah, they just flipped the script in both halves, those two guys there. And Falker really establishing the physical presence in the paint.
You know, one time, people looked at Southern Illinois is one of those teams, I guess, kind of like a George Mason, in that they were a bracket-busting kind of team. Well, 6 straight NCAAs and the ability to go in the Sweet 16 round, almost the Elite 8. They're not a bracket buster anymore.
No, and they have continuity in their program. They run the same style and system that Bruce Weber implemented, and Matt Painter continued, and Chris Lowry continues to this day.
That's a great feed. And Falker's going to go to the free throw line off a pretty bounce pass from Matt Shaw.
I love the way Randall Falker goes to the hole.
Charles Rhodes fouls out of the game. We're talking about a quiet day for a tremendous player. Just 4 points, early foul trouble limited him in the first half. And that is in the face of a frustrated young man. He has not had his kind of day here today.
Charles Rhodes is a player who flirted with the NBA draft, went and worked out with John Lucas over the summer and learned some things about his game, and I'm sure he learned a little bit more today about what a determined defensive club can do to him. Lost his composure there down the stretch a little bit. They're going to need him to be huge if they want to contend like most people think they will in the SEC this season.
9 out of 10 from the line for Falker. I mentioned before, a big man in this kind of a system, you got to make your free throws, and he's doing that. Hansbrough finding the open man. And burying the jumper is Turner.
Phil Turner reminds me a lot of Barry Stewart, the other two guard that they have on their squad that's picking Mullins up right now. Very similar in build. Very good looking shot from the outside.
As you said, they've got high hopes for him. Turner unfortunately found out about his red shirt last year while the first exhibition game was going on. That's a tough time to find out about it.
Yes, it is.
Everybody else going into the game, how come I'm not in yet? Well, you're probably not going to play this year.
Matt Shaw looked like he got banged up there on that tangle. Got tangled up a little bit, but gutted it out and still got the jumper to fall. It's been that kind of afternoon for SIU.
I want to be clear and fair about it, though. You know, Rick Stansbury hadn't completely made the decision to redshirt Turner going into that game, but he was keeping his options open. And now you get a foul call down low. And head coach, those kinds of decisions sometimes can be tricky because you're looking for the development of the player, but you also have the here and now to worry about. Whatever he's doing, clearly he's doing it right.
Oh, Rick I'm telling you, the guys love to play for this man. He knows how to communicate with the players. He knows how to put them in positions to be successful. He understands the talent that he has on his club. He's developed players, as you see with Charles Rhodes and Jamaal Gordon. Hansbrough is an intricate part of their attack. Barry Stewart is an outstanding guard for the SEC. He's doing a fabulous job down in Starkville.
But he ran into a team today that knows how to play its style and knows how to make you play that style. And the Salukis 75 seconds away from a berth in the championship here on Sunday.
And they're up 16 points, and Randall Falker's diving on the floor.
And guess what? They got another team with a 20 turnover mark right there, as everybody's going to come out to the big-time applause and the well-deserved applause from the SIU fans who are here.
This victory, grandmother right there, Randall Falker.
Earlene Falker. A chance to enjoy watching her grandson pretty much take this game over and change it around coming out of halftime.
And this may be the more impressive victory. Yesterday was awfully impressive against a very athletic club from Chattanooga, but they really took control of this game down the stretch.
You look ahead now. Salukis with 1 day off and then a final here on Sunday. And they are either going to get the high-flying USC attack to deal with, the complete opposite, or Miami of Ohio that plays a little bit like the way they do in terms of defense. That could end up being a physical war.
Yes.
One way or another, you got a good one on Sunday here for the championship.
Yes, you do. Some outstanding talent for the remaining teams that are in it here.
Clock winding down under 10, and they hold an opponent. It would appear under 50. Yep, it's going to be that way with 6.8 to go. Another opponent with more than 20 turnovers. And this blueprint and script for how SIU wins ball games is continuing to work.
Yeah, and I don't know if we can any longer call them mid-major because of the success that they've had and the success of the Missouri Valley Conference in general. I don't know if we can't call them mid-major anymore.
I'll tell you what, they certainly are playing a lot more like a team that is every year right in the thick of being a part of it, and this could be one of the best in a long time. We'll see. They won 29 games last year. They're off to a 3-0 start this year. And Chris Lowry once again has his team playing their brand of ball and making the opposition do it too. Oh, Southern Illinois finishing the second half, a 16-7 run. That's one side of the bracket later on tonight. Miami of Ohio and USC finding out who meets on the other side. Now for my partner Steve Barno, our entire crew here in Anaheim, we thank you for joining us and enjoying college basketball here in Anaheim. Now let's join Darry Noka in the studio for this Sports Center in-game update.